So I'm Rob Alvarez. I am the host of Professor Game, a podcast where we interview successful practitioners of games, gamification, game thinking. We're right now in Gamification Europe, and many of my guests are speaking today, and that makes me very, very, very happy. I also work and teach at IE Business School in Madrid, so I have like 3 jobs right now. I enjoy it very much. I'm very engaged with it, but it's a lot of work, and I'm happy to be doing it. Okay, there's 2 answers to that. It could be like the formal gamification answer, which is I started working at IE Business School where we create interactive learning materials, and I realized that what they were doing, because I was just arriving, was actually a gamification in itself, essentially. But it wasn't conscious, like they weren't thinking of gamification when doing that. So one of the things I did was bring gamification to as a concept and bring it to consciousness, so to speak, into the department. So that was one point. The other point could be when I started playing games, and I was the Nintendo console long ago. that could be my start. I wanted to work for the Nintendo magazine. It was my dream.
Hey, this is Professor Game, where we interview successful practitioners of games, gamification, and game thinking, who bring us the best of their experiences to get ideas, insights, and inspiration that help us in the process of getting the students to learn what we teach.
The idea for Professor Game, I would say it came from many things coming together. The first one, like chronologically, the first one would be I used to have a radio show back home in Venezuela. It was about entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I enjoyed it thoroughly, but it was a learning experience. I didn't have. It was a radio program, and it was you have AM and FM. There was an AM. So basically, there was not too many people listening to it. It was a learning experience for sure. I enjoyed it very much. The radio format is something I enjoyed and obviously still enjoy. Then of course I went into education, which is something I'm very passionate about. And when I started working in education and I found out about gamification, it all started to come together. We've been impacting lots more of people with our gamified learning materials. But of course, when you can only reach so many people, and then I said, well, how can I help impact education in a larger scale? And of course, video is a possibility, and audio is another one. I love the audio format for creation. It has many advantages and disadvantages as well, but that's what I picked because of my background and because of the consequences I think can be good for that. Okay, so 2 goals. The first and main one is very, very egocentric. I wanted to make sure I was enjoying myself, that I was going to be able to do this for a long time, even if not a single person listened to the podcast. So I wanted to make sure that was there and that I could sustain it, even if nobody listened to it. When I said yes, I said, okay, I can move forward. Then of course you want to serve an audience as well. If you're there to make money or whatever, you're probably not going to make money, or you're probably not going to do a good thing. So I wanted to find at least one person who got value from this podcast. And that's when I said, well, if I can do it sustainably, if nobody listens, and I can also say, well, if I can find that one person who says, well, this is awesome, I'm learning a lot from this, I'm adding value to my life and to my gamification journey, that's when I said, well, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Many things. I'm having trouble filtering how many things have come up, to be honest. Again, I didn't know what the end response would be. I'm super happy about all the engagers who have been going around listening to the podcast. I'm especially thankful for each and every one of you who have been listening or will listen to the podcast in the future, because it keeps me going. Of course, I knew I would still do it even if I don't get anybody to listen. But when you get more people listening and asking questions and interacting with you and suggesting new people and saying, oh, I want to be on the show as well, it's a very, very nice answer. I didn't expect it to be so fast, and I just see the listening numbers going up, and it's like, wow, this is super exciting. So that's one of the things. The other thing is I wouldn't call it a hobby, because it's not really a hobby, but I'm not looking for monetization in itself. I'm not looking to see how I would make money out of this. But then many speaking opportunities have come. Many people have asked for more consultancy than I would have expected. I mean, there's a growing interest not only in the field of gamification, but in people, of course, who are spreading the word. So I thought that could be coming, but I didn't really expect it. You know the imposter syndrome when you're like, I don't know if I deserve it or whatever. It's that kind of thing. It's been coming up a lot more, especially lately when I'm especially busy these last months. I've never had so many calls, and right now I'm saying no to most things, like today, because after my teaching commitments, I'm right now like too busy. But hopefully in January I'll be getting back into consulting. I have one every single week. We have by now, this is 27th of November, I just launched the 57th episode. It should be the 58th because I have episode 00, which is an introduction to the show, but 57 episodes. I would say Vasily's asked me this question, the organizer of Gamification Europe, one of the organizers. He told me like, oh, but how long do you spend in that? And back then, I'm not sure why, what's the account I made, I said 5 hours a week. Which is, by now, it's not really true. It's a bit more. I don't know. I would say something around 7 to 8 hours a week because there's a whole booking the guests. There's some editing involved. There is, of course, writing down the blog post about this. There's taking care of social media. There's replying to people. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. I'm not. But it does take some time. I also work. So my regular work. During my lunch, I'm often doing social media, I'm often uploading things, I'm often replying to guests, I'm often doing more things. Email list, and again, I maybe have diversified into too many things. I have like the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter. I'm mostly into Twitter and Instagram, but I also have a Facebook page, of course. We also have I publish things through LinkedIn because many of the guests only have LinkedIn, so the idea is to keep it going, but it's a lot of things coming together. Wow, we just listened to Steve Boska. I'm not sure if I'm butchering his last name, but he was showing us in his scale how engaging games are. And there's two things about, because again, there's the games and the gamification. The games are showing us many things that we can use in gamification, and without the games, we would probably not reach this level of understanding even. So that's a very important thing about games that teaches for gamification and the whole engagement idea. There's many things that games can do that other medium just period can't. And of course, gamification is super important if you want to reach engagement with your audience, with your employees, with your, in my case, my students as well. There's so many things that gamification can do. Many things that you can't do as well, but it's a beautiful thing that you can build on top of to solve. In education, again, there's a massive engagement problem, and you can solve it using gamification. A quick one, because a guest just reminded me of it, is the traffic lights, the traffic speed lottery ticket.
Yeah.
That's a very classic example. It's maybe not the best one because it's very reward oriented that you get a ticket into a lottery, but it's an easy thing to understand. You just go through this thing. It takes a picture, shows your speed. If you're not speeding, you have a lottery ticket. If you are speeding, you're paying for a fine, and the fines go for the lottery tickets, and the winner gets the money. It's very easy to understand. It's relatively sustainable as well because you're not funding it from the government. But again, it's the whole reward thing, but it's an easy way to understand how a mechanic from games, lotteries, etc. is used for another purpose, which is governance in this case. When I was a kid, I'm angry at the Nintendo people. It's going to be controversial because they didn't put the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in any of their new consoles. It was one of my favorite games. Not even one. The NES had like 3, I think. The Super NES had at least 1 as well. None of them is there. So if you're listening to me, you better put it back in Nintendo 64 or something. That's one of my favorite games. This is, again, probably going to be controversial, especially for gamers. I play a lot of FIFA. It's not the most engaging game, it's not the best example, but I love football, and I don't know, it's one of those almost mindless games that you can just sit down and forget about everything else and play. Another one that I'm playing a lot right now, I want to have the Spider-Man one because I'm a Spider-Man fan. But the other one I'm also playing a lot these days is the one of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. It's Shadows of Mordor is the one I'm playing. I find it very interesting how they have like this sort of open world, the Nemesis system that adapts. So it's a system, of course, it's not really completely open, but the beasts you're fighting, and they turn into the chiefs, and they get stronger depending on if you fight them or not, and if you let them live, or it's a very interesting, like, the whole mechanic and the whole complexity of the system is very, very interesting, and it's, of course, very entertaining.
Okay, thank you.